It's basically a response video to Holden Coffee. Basically saying, you know, if not that shit, then what shit? Yeah, there really isn't a lot of choices. I guess I just attacked the worst of the choices first. Obviously, yeah, all the Republicans are fascists, religious crazy asses that, you know, just cannot be. There's, as I see it, the president has the power to do certain things. As the executive, it can do the executive order thing, and it can fuck up the FCC, and it can fuck up other organizations by making really crazy appointments, including the courts. And so Republicans, you know what they do to the courts. I mean, they put these you know, these assholes on the court who will, you know, decide that you're not allowed to do this, you're not allowed to do that, and all this morality crap, and that's what we end up with. So they're a real threat. You know, and even Ron Paul, we don't know what the hell he would do to the courts. Obviously, it'd be a very strange individual. He'd have to pick some very, you know, he'd have a hard time finding actual judges to nominate to the federal court, because you're not going to really find a judge that's going to be, you know, pro individual nuclear weapons and you know, anti government intervention or whatever. You know, I mean, you're not going to find this combination. But regardless, you know, I'd said enough about Ron Paul, so I guess I'll just stay off of that one. But I just see him as a real dangerous choice. That's like going in completely the wrong direction. I mean, we already have a real problem with the rich getting richer and the poor getting poorer. I mean, I lived in the 60s. I lived when we landed a man on the fucking moon. I've seen government work. I'm not saying government's great, but I've seen it. I went to the Hoover Dam, I stood on it, and I said, wow, this is impressive. You know, government can do things. You know, been to Yellowstone Park, you know, very nice place. Government can do some things. And even at its worst, you know, even if you look at government, the worst government is better than the worst corporation in one sense. Bad government has a lot of people making okay salaries for doing no work. Corporations have this ton of money going to a few tiny individuals, select individuals, usually board members, whatnots, people who inherited their initial money anyway. You know, and they get a huge amount of money, you know, and the regular worker gets shit. So I guess if I had to pick a choice just between that, if they considered them both evil, the fact is one of them is a better employer. I mean, one of them doesn't create millionaires and the other one does. So the wealth doesn't all go to 5%, you know. So at worst, government waste is at least the waste goes to a paycheck for usually just a regular guy. I mean, obviously some of the waste when it goes to Halliburton or some of these bullshit corporations, when we privatize parts of the government, yeah, then we're just asking for trouble, because then the money ends up going into a few pockets and that's it. So yeah, I mean, I'd rather government fuck it up than some business fuck it up. And the whole idea of anybody on YouTube talking about how great business is, I mean, Google is a $165 billion fucking company, and it can't even fucking answer a telephone. So get real. This corporation sucks. You know, it just plain sucks. And this is what you get from these billion-dollar corporations. You get shit. But anyway, let's not even make that argument. Yeah, I mean, basically, look, I'm basically liberal because I have to, you know, look, I don't, you know, the Republican Party is owned by the Christians. I mean, they're owned by the right-wing Christian nuts. And the fucking Democratic Party is owned by the fucking unions and the people who want tenure and don't want to work for a living. And so, you know, the teachers union and the rest of it. So it's a shitty choice. It's a fucking shitty choice. And I mean, there are candidates that aren't as bad as the rest, but I don't know if they're realistic. I don't, you know, Biden is, you know, he's an intelligent guy, not too scary. He's got a rational Iraq policy. Yeah, let's create 3 or 4 countries out of this mess and just get the fuck out of there like we did in Bosnia. You know, not too unreasonable. You know, but look, realistically, you have to see what these people are going to be doing. You know, what the actual policy is when you get rid of the political bullshit. Okay? And we've seen what George Bush's you know, compassionate conservatism is. It's bullshit. And so we know what he would do even if he had more power. I mean, it wouldn't be good for any working person. All right, it'd be really good for the rich like himself, the sons of the rich, the sons of bitches. Oh, sorry about that one. Kind of rude. And then on the Democratic side, look, you know, I don't like Hillary Clinton, but guess what? She's just talking bullshit. You know, she doesn't give a shit about the war. You know, she doesn't give a shit about any kind of moral issues and shit. I mean, she's a 60s liberal. I mean, it's obvious. And she's just playing the role she has to play to get fucking elected. And she goes along where she has to go along. And, you know, as president, she's not going to be under the same pressures as a senator, but, you know, it's basically just Clinton 3. I mean, Bill Clinton 3, and Clinton was so obvious. I mean, look, he obviously doesn't have anything against homosexuals, but he didn't have the guts to stand for something, so he comes up with the don't ask, don't tell compromise. I mean, that's all these are. They're compromise candidates. You know, and so I guess in a worst case scenario, I got to look somewhere in that direction. Like I said, I would like for some of these other candidates to maybe have a chance, but I don't think they have a realistic chance. And I'm still hopeful that maybe somebody, some, you know, crazy horse will ride in, you know, after the primaries, and, you know, there'll be a few wild cards in the race, and maybe something can happen, something crazy. And if we had instant runoff voting in place, we'd have a guarantee that maybe we could vote for one of these third-party candidates and they'd really have a real shot. You know, maybe we can get somebody different, somebody out of nowhere, you know, the Jerry Brown type or whatever, just something more honest, more credible. But Ron Paul's not it. I mean, he is, you know, he's as right-wing as you can get, and the only thing, it's just that the libertarians play this game, like, oh yeah, we're pro marijuana rights or pro something else to suck in a few people, but that's not the world they'd create, because they would empower the very kind of tyranny that a free person doesn't want. I mean, it really would be. I mean, watch the movie Rambo. It really would be that kind of scenario. You know, like the way you look, you couldn't even get into some towns, you know? I mean, that's the world they want to create. They want to create a world where, yeah, they can have all the private clubs in the world they want, the private restaurants, private everything. And, you know, there's only going to be two worlds. You know, it's going to be that rich, clean, pretty, ballroom dancing, you know, nice music world, and there's going to be the refuse outside in the rain cleaning up the horse shit. That's the world we're going to have, and that's the world they want. And so, yeah, but these are shitty choices. I don't deny it. I mean, you know, it takes a lot of steam out of my argument, because, yeah, what alternative is out there? You know, because there isn't a great one. But you do have to sort of like concede to the politics. What is the most dangerous politics? What kind of president could do the most damage? And I guess until we have a rational democracy, until we have somebody that stands up for an improvement in our democracy, yeah, the best choice is going to be some kind of bastardization of the Democratic Party, some sort of, you know, play both sides of the street kind of bullshit. And I'd like to say there was some sort of liberal, you know, Republican, but there really isn't, you know, because they really are owned by that Christian right, and that's just, you can't go there no matter what. And you also can't, they're also owned by the money, you know, the rich, and those are just two minorities, two minority interests that just are too repugnant to me. And so I'll take the excessive unions and the excessive bureaucracy crap over that crap any day. So I guess that's my thing. Like I said, I don't know, the day I actually have to fucking write it down, you know, say, okay, these are my two choices, and I have to pick one of these fuckers, that's not going to be a happy day. But yeah, it is a worse, lesser of evils thing, and we're at a critical point, and it's just too bad that we have such shitty choices. But Ron Paul is, like I said, I just don't know how you can even see any promise or hope in that, because it just empowers tyranny. It just gives it more power. It is monarchy. That's where he's heading. It's a nobility society. And if he had something to temper that, something like a complete abolishment of the inheritance tax, a complete abolishment of, you know what I mean, complete, let's kill inheritance. It might make some sense, because then at least there wouldn't be this consolidation of power. There wouldn't be this power that lasts forever and ever and ever. You can never escape. And they can only get more powerful and more powerful and more powerful. And that's the real threat over there.